Hello Oldhammer, it's Brett from Solo Oldhammer Gaming. Just wanted to send out a huge thanks for everyone that has subscribed to the channel. I'm at 101 at last count. It means a lot. I never actually thought in my wildest dreams that I'd have 101 subscribers for the channel. It was just something to share. Some battle reports and some painting and stuff with, but yeah, it's really keeping me on to a painting schedule, which is nice for a change. Plough through that pile of shame that I've got, that everyone's got, but and I just wanted to do a different video today. It's a roundup of the Undead, just a review of their army list from Warhammer Armies 3rd edition book. It's a bit different format than what I did with the Empire. I think some of the screens in that were a bit shiny, and yeah, they didn't really show off the book as well as I'd hoped. So yeah, trying this out and see how we go. But from the get-go, we've got page 1 of the army list for the Undead, just listing the forces of the Undead. So like your skeletons, carrion, your ghouls, mummies, zombies, spectres, all that good stuff that you like in an undead army. Just yeah, listing their base sizes, so mainly 20 by 20s, good old square bases. Horsemen, of course, they're 25 by 50s for the mount, but some nice minis there that have been painted up by the guys at the Heavy Metal Studios, the Nightmare Legion, and some skellies from the Skeleton Regiment's boxes. Skeletons themselves, they're not the best of troops. As you can see by like the weapon skill and ballistic skill, but initiative at 2 is pretty low, so most troops are going to be fighting before your skellies are going to get a hit back. So spears are good for them, so you can get more attacks, just like from second rank and that as well, helping out. So that really helps them out. It's their fear and psychological effects that really sets them apart to most armies. If the opposition's got really high level like leadership characters, like we're looking at like dwarves and elves and things like that, yeah, that they've got to respect that fear, even though their leadership is really good. They're going to fail one every now and again, and they could save it up like the battle report, and everybody fails at the end, and the next thing you know, your opponent's army is just fleeing across the battlefield. But we've got also the heroes there, like undead heroes and that can attach to units and serve as their champion and stop the guys, your troops from suffering instability and stupidity and things. Leeches are quite good. Vampires, yeah. So it was in, I think it was 4th or 5th edition where they separated, come out with the Vampire Count's Army book. I think it was 5th edition, I'm pretty sure, towards the end there, and I think that took a little bit of character away from the Undead, where I was always reading about necromancers and things that were raising these troops from the dead in an effort to A, conquer death, and B, carve out their own little empire around, like Heinrich Kammler, yeah, guys like that. So that's where I quite like the 3rd edition. Like the necromancers are still beneficial. in the Vampire Counts Army book, I think they fell off a little bit. The fourth edition book, like just the Undead one, that was okay. That was more along the lines of third edition like this as well. So you could still have like skeleton bowmen, crossbowmen, screaming skull catapults and that. But we'll come to all that as we go along. But as you can see there, all undead armies are different alignments. Usually chaotic, neutral, or evil. That's by the by, really. But yeah, just a little bit of background stuff there. Looking at that, your heroes and is there bonuses to leadership and like intelligence and cool and willpower and stuff that you're really going to be feeding off, especially for instability tests. You do get depending on what their modifier is, you get a +1 or +2 or whatever the modifier is to the instability test. So if you had like a level 25 necromancer there, level 25, that'd be over 3,000 point battle in my book, just to try and stop like magic from dominating everything. But that's what you'd be aiming for, over 3,000 points. I think under around about 1,000 points, you'd be looking at like level 10 at the highest, so that way it doesn't dominate. But so you'd be getting a +1 and that, so it's still going to have a little bit of effect. But yes, if you can get as many of those bonuses as you can to the instability table, if they do get pushed back, that's an instability test. So yeah, you'd be needing those bonuses to hit all that. But the next page, page 2 of the Undead army list in the book, which is I think 119 in the actual army list in the actual Warhammer Armies book. It's got a really good table, and we'll be having a look at that next. So here we are at page 119 in the army list book, which is like page 2 of the Undead armies themselves. And as you can see there, we've got a really, really good table that just draws everything into perspective. So we've got carrion, basically giant flying birds with a little gremlin death sort of figure attached to it as well, hanging on to the back of it. It'll list everything there, like which types of your troops are immune to psychology, which ones cause fear, and if they're subject to instability or not, and any other special rules like cannot be routed. And so like skeletons, for instance, they're immune to psychology. They do cause fear in creatures up to 10 feet tall and over 10 feet tall. They are subject to instability, and they're stupid unless they're controlled. They can't be routed. So, for instance, I did have a little look on the hand-to-hand combat table where it's got -1 for fear-causing creatures. That's, as far as I can work out, that's only for creatures that cause fear in a radius. Now, usual radius, if it's not listed, say like skeletons for instance, if it's not rated as, say, like fear 12, that just basically means that they have a 12-inch radius that they cause fear in. So even if you pass that fear check when they charge, or you charge them, if they've got fear 12, then you'd still be at a -1 to actually hit. So that's pretty brutal. But that's mainly things like demons and things like that. In the book, it's explained as like skeletons. Yes, skeletons are not nice to fight against, but the most they're going to do is kill you. Where something that's got a fear radius, say like a greater demon, he's gonna kill you too, but he's also going to feast on your soul. So that's a little bit more fearful your troops will be of him. So, but those tables there, so your basic skeleton to me is that's your quintessential undead troop. ghouls and zombies and things are okay. Zombies, they can be routed on in combat. Uh, Basically, because they're a lot fresher and they've still got those. Oh, how would you describe it? Sort of human traits of worrying about dying for the second time, I suppose. Ghouls, they always rout if they're pushed back. Uh, Ghouls are okay. I don't really have a ghoul unit. I'd like to get one just for the special rules of if they push back an opponent, then so many of them stay at where they were, feasting on the dead and the wounded, just for that background sort of thing for your undead armies. Stories and background means a lot to me when I'm picking and playing an army, and yeah, to me you can't get better than that. But yeah, there's that table. They're very handy. So like vampires, they're not immune to psychology, and surprisingly, they don't cause fear in any creatures at all. But they're not subject to the instability as well. They've got a heap of other rules attached to them as well, like from Warhammer Fantasy Battle rulebook. I think it says there 262. So we're looking at they can control units of friendly skeletons, zombies, or mummies at 12 inches. They're pretty good, like weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, and intelligence wise. Even their initiatives pretty damn good. Like a level 5 vampire, initiative 6, 4 wounds. That's not too bad, but he's pumping out 330 points, so that's a big investment. But he's got a lot of extra rules. He can turn into a bat or a giant wolf, or turn into like a mist. But pricey, very very pricey. Like a level 25, 690 points is anyway. So let's say you're fighting a 4,000 point battle, so you're taking a level 25. That's a stack of points already, and that's just with a sword. So no armor or anything, just a basic sword. But yeah, vampires are okay. I can see why they don't cause fear and stuff like that because of their priciness, but and they're pretty damn good to start off with anyway. But yeah, that's where I'd go necromancer, because it's just got that background story that I like, and making everything fit. So we come to the army selection next, and yeah, we're looking at half the points minimum for your rank and file. Maximum's the whole army less one character. You've always got to have at least one character that can control the undead, serve as a as your general, and raise those troops. Whether it's a necromancer, a vampire, or a leash. It doesn't really matter. You can have a maximum of 6 wizards in the army. Undead heroes are good just to slot into like different units and that. If you're strapped for points, and that way at least they're controlled. They're not going to suffer stupidity that way, at least. You must have a general. He'll be as usual, the character with the highest leadership, whether it's a necromancer, a vampire, or a leash. If you do have a vampire as your general with the highest leadership, he's gonna suck up a lot of points, and surprisingly as well, he hasn't got any bonuses to his leadership or anything like that he's pumping out to everybody else. So Yeah, that's one thing to watch. That's another reason why I prefer necromancers or leeches, um, because they've got that bonus to instability. It, and weapons table as usual, and how many heroes and that you can have in as normal level 5, 10, and 15 undead heroes. They have to be assigned to a specific unit in the army list and referred to as undead champions. And yeah, so with the undead as well, you can just see it there at at the bottom of page 2 in the army list. Is that undead heroes of level 10 or greater must carry a magic weapon. They have to carry a magic weapon. Um, so that's a little interesting side note. It's not too bad for the actual army. But we'll go on to page 3 of the army list. So here we are at page 3, and where it's just starting to talk about wizards, all the different types of wizards, like how many maximums and minimums, how many maximum wizards you can have, like 2 level 5 wizards, whether they be necromancers, leeches, or vampires. The maximum 1 level 25 wizard in the army. That just states there like what their points costs are. That lines them up a little bit better. Leashes are quite good. Basically, an undead necromancer who just will not let go, and a husk of his former self. It also, like just down below from that, it'll list their titles and things like either Necrarch or Dracula or Leash Master, or pretty good. I like adding those to my heroes and things like Necrus Adeptus or Morbidus the Harvester as part of his title. It just adds a little bit more background story, which is quite cool for the game. But just remembering that you can have a maximum of 6 all up. So 6 necromancers, leashes, or vampires all up. So but then it just lists the spells that they can have. A little bit different on what spells they can take. Like necromancers are looking at least 1 necromantic spell in each of their levels. Any other spells can be battle magic or necromantic magic. Quite handy. Leeches may have either necromantic or battle magic spells in addition. You may have a single demonic level spell in each of his levels of mastery, and vampires has to have at least 1 necromantic spell in each of their mastery levels. Remaining spells can be battle magic, except for a single spell of each level, which can be elemental, illusionist, demonic, or another necromantic spell. So after that, we've got magic items that we can get for the characters. Remembering that characters who are level 10 or greater must have a magic weapon, so they can take up to 2 attributes for magic abilities on their weapons for being level 10. You'd more than likely just drop 1 in there. They're pricey enough, actually. Same with wizards. You can equip them with up to 3 scrolls each, and the scrolls may contain up to 3 different spells of level 3 or lower. 2 characters for this army can wear a ring, and they can be level 3. Just remembering that North armies, I've always played it as a misprint, that they can have level 2 maximum in my book. Basically I think level 4 is a bit much, to be quite honest, especially for a human army. Empire and Britannia are limited to level 2 for their rings. So, that's what I limit my Norse to. But the Undead, on the other hand, they're up to level 3. But I don't usually play with rings that much, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it's something that I don't really use. Two of the characters can be equipped with magic armor. Um, for my undead armies, I don't usually give them magic armor just because I'd rather get more skeletons. Like, yeah, that's the way I do it. And the army standard may have up to two magical abilities. I might take a battle standard bearer every now and again, just for giggles. Uh, Plus, if you're gonna spend that time like painting and your figure and your banner and that, it is quite nice to make it a little bit more special and whack a magical ability on it, like a war banner or something like that. Yeah, it looks the part and it feels right in my book. So yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about that. You can circumnavigate some of the weaknesses that the undead tend to have with magic abilities and magic weapons and things like that. That's why I think it's so important that remember that rule that level 10 character has to have a magic item on them. So, well, actually, I should double check that. No, it's undead heroes of level 10. So a level 10 necromancer doesn't have to have a magic weapon, but an undead hero does. So just remember that it's undead heroes, not like wizards and things like that. So yeah, undead heroes. So undead characters that are being used as a undead champion. If they're level 10, they need a magic weapon. They have to have a magic weapon if they're level 10 or greater. So yeah, just remembering that and you can't go wrong. And now we're coming up to the juicy bit of the army list that everybody enjoys is the line drawings and the what you can take, which is always fun. Just quick note there that you can take a magical instrument. Um, all magical instruments cost an extra 25 points, and the ability must be noted down before the game. So, as it says there, see page 16, standards as always double. Um, Standard bearers and musicians are always double normal troop types, wherever they're being drawn from. And yeah, the army list will tell you um, any unit indicated may convert an ordinary standard into a magic one and have an ability on it. Um, yeah, but as always, you've got to choose that and note that down before the battle starts. So now we're getting up to the juicy bit on what we can take for our armies. So here we are up to the juicy part, what we can take. And just a quick overview of the list. We're looking at minimums and maximums at the moment. And we have to take at least 20 skeleton warriors. Now, any unit may take shields and light armor. One unit may have spears. I have a unit with spears, and they can be from 10 to 30 strong. So you have to take a minimum of 20. I suggest more, but yeah, if you're just starting to build out your armies, this is so your first 1,000 points. Then I'd be taking at least 20 skeletons and 10 Grim Reapers, because that's your minimums and maximums done straight away. So as the army increases and gets bigger, you've already covered the minimums that you need for that army, for the 3,000 points that the lists were originally written for. But there's other juicy items that you can take there, like Death Riders. You can have up to 50 of these guys in units of between 5 and 25. Now, off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure that Death Riders are because they're undead horsemen, so they're not actually affected by terrain and things like that, so they can go through like woods and things without penalty. Just trying to remember if that's the same for buildings and things like that. I'm pretty sure it is the same. It is like that for like streams and woods and things like that. Not woods, I mean walls and hedges and things. But yeah, they can't actually finish on the terrain piece, but they can go through it without a penalty. Good crack units, quite fast. Rocking hand, weapon, and shields. You can take light armor with them as well. One unit may have lances, just gives them a little bit more hitting power. Get that important bonus for initiative with the lance as well. Just double checking. I'm pretty sure lance gives you a yeah, it is there. +2. +2 to your initiative, +2 to your strength, and a -1 save modifier. Now, it's only used in the first turn, but that turns your very slow and, well, you can't really say that, snailish, you may as well say, undead horseman from a very paltry 2 initiative to quite a healthy 4. For the first round of combat, so long as they're charging. But yeah, you can only have one unit of those, but a unit of 25 would look spectacular. I've never taken a unit of 25, just saying that a unit of 25 would look very spectacular at that. They can also have them. You can also have them as with bows. Missile weapons for the undead. Not that good, but yeah, I've still got a few of them, just because I like the look of the figure with the bow and the arrow on there. I don't have any skeleton crossbows at the moment, but that's something I will be doing. Just got to find the right figures for that. But yeah, missile options are quite good to have for undead armies. Like I'm looking at skeleton archers and skeleton crossbows. You have up to 40 of each. Well, the archers can be in units of 10 to 20, and the crossbows can be in units of 10 to 40. Now, these guys are 13 points for the crossbows and 12 for the archers. That's pretty pricey. They should be able to look after themselves, like with their fear and everything like that, but no armor off the bat. So if you're looking for armor for these guys, then you're looking at 14 points for both, which is quite pricey. That's very, very pricey. That's almost dark elvish, like dark elf crossbowmen, I think, are 13 points with light armor, and they've got ballistic skill 4, where our poor old skellies have only got ballistic skill 2, so pretty useless. But yeah, it's there. It could just be a thorn in the side of your opponent, just to keep them honest. Grim Reapers are not too bad. I know they've got no armor, but they've got double-handed weapons, which is size, and that's classic undead look. My 3,000 point army has a unit of 20 of these guys. As we saw in the battle report with the against the dwarves, that two-handed weapons can be they can be quite brutal. I know you've only got 2 weapon skill, but yeah, like going to the casino, everybody gets a blackjack every now and again. So you just need a good round of rolls, and yeah, your guys will be silently but surely following a routing enemy, and yeah, just getting free hack after free hack. Undead chariots. Now, chariots are quite good, especially with scythe wheels. Definitely take the scythe wheels, and the miniatures look magnificent as well. So that's always a little extra option as well to have. They do look spectacular. I've got a couple. I found an article the other day about Storm Riders. I think it's 9 magic points that your Necromancer can, or magic user can cast at the start of the battle. I think it's a level or 2. I think it's a level 2 spell. It was added after the actual book went to print, and yeah, that'll give you D6 chariots, but you do need to. There's some dice rolls and things there. I think it's D4 turns that the Storm Riders turn up, and it's D6 plus 4 turns off the top of my head that they disappear. But you can actually, yeah, you can buy up to 4 undead chariots to have to stick around for the entire battle, which is quite good and can be quite problematic for your opponent. The only problem is that, yeah, you've undead horse have only got 1 wound, so do the crew. But the scythe wheels and that for those juicy hits where they get into hand-to-hand combat. Yeah, you always got to take scythe wheels, I think, for chariots. Plus, they look good too on the miniature. But we'll leave it there for our troops. Oh, just the skeleton warriors. I mean, classic undead. You can't go wrong with skeletons, and that they look good. That Evil Dead 3 Army of Darkness look. Yeah, I think that's what got me hooked on them from the start. Just that, yeah. And then when Army of Darkness come out, that was icing on the cake. Just to see it as how I'd always imagined it. But yeah, that's the mainly the skeletal units for the undead army, and we'll be moving on to the next group of troops. So now we're at page 122 of the undead army list, and we're starting to get into some juicy specialist troops. So we've just done the skeletal units, and now we're on to some juicy units that do make up some differences for the undead army. So off the bat, we've got mummies. Oh, mummies, 4 wounds each, 3 initiative, 1 better initiative than your average skeleton, and also weapon skill 3. So they're rocking out at normal human sort of weapon skill. Stronger than a normal human though, and their initiative is around humanish as well. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that mummies actually fear fire, as you would as a pile of rags, but they're not subject to instability, and they are not immune to psychology. So they can be a bit of a problem if you have a bad roll, but like psychologically. But 9 leadership's not too damn bad actually when you think about it. You're limited to 10, unfortunately. But yeah, 4 wounds and 2 attacks each. That's pretty brutal. They are causing fear in creatures up to 10 feet tall, but only some creatures over 10 feet tall. I don't think a dragon fears a mummy. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the bestiary for the Warhammer Fantasy Battle book, but that's not the purpose of this exercise. Yeah, so mummies, good troops. 80 points though. 10 mummies, and you're going to be looking at 800 points. So that's a fair whack. Next up, we've got Carrion, who have a special attack, and I'm just trying to remember it off the top of my head. I think the first turn the little Grim Reaper-y looking guy doesn't make any attacks, but he does after like the next rounds and everything after that. But yeah, they cause fear. They're immune to psychology. They're immune to the effects of poison. They can't be routed from close combat. They never take rout tests and will fight to the last without any qualms. They are subject to instability. A carrion removed from the table as a result of instability returns not to the planes of the dead, but back to the chaos wastes from where it slowly flies back into the world. That makes no difference to the game, but it's just cool to know. Unity Carrion does not need a controller to fight effectively. The presence of a friendly necromancer within 12 inches means the unit is unaffected by instability. Carrion attack by a mixture of biting and clawing. And the riders, now, they have no attack on the first round of any hand-to-hand combat round. During the second round of hand-to-hand combat, they receive one attack. During the third and each subsequent round of a hand-to-hand combat, the rider gains an additional attack. During the fifth round, so for example, the fifth round, the rider has 4 attacks. Once particular hand-to-hand combat is over, it resets to 0. Now, it's not possible to direct blows against the rider. The rider is part of the carrion and is destroyed only when the carrion is destroyed. Now, these guys have got 2 wounds. They're not as pricey as mummies at 45 points, but you can only take 6. They do fly, so they are... well, I would describe them as your mobile reserve, where they can be just brought in to plug a gap very quickly, because I think their minimum movement when they're flying is 6 inches, maximum speed of 30, and acceleration and deceleration of 6 inches each turn as well. But we're looking at initiative of 4, which is very, very good. Intelligence 3 is not good at all. Intelligence 7, so basically is a bit more cluey than a skeleton. I think they're at 5, but same with cool and things like that, but they're not affected by psychology or anything like that. So that nasty instability roll if they get pushed back in a hand-to-hand combat. But that's about the only thing you've really got to look out for. But they cannot be routed. Cannot be routed, and they do cause fear in creatures under 10 feet tall and over 10 feet tall. Good troops. Miniatures are lovely. Absolutely love the miniatures. The old miniatures I don't really like. The Tomb King ones make them look like a pet corpse. I like the little rider on the back with these guys. Well, to me anyway, I can imagine them more just slowly drifting across the skies, and yeah, with that little dude holding on for dear life, waiting to get his chance to put the stabbies on people. But next we've got the zombies. Well, I'm not going to be kidding. Zombies they're hopeless. I think I've got 20 zombies for my army, all up. 4 points each. Initiative 1, weapon skill 2. Basically with a hand weapon. Shields are only half points because they're under 5 points, and or is it 4 points? I'm not sure. I can't remember from the rule book that shields are half a point. Light armor 1 point, and they can take double-handed weapons, so they can be there to keep somebody honest. Let's face it, people's opposition armies that have got lots of armor and heavy cavalry and things like that don't really like facing down against armies that have two-handed weapons, because, yeah, let's face it, they hurt. they can hurt big time. So, yeah, you can have up to 100 zombies in the army. Now that would be cool. 3, 6, 9, so 3, 6, so 2 units of 30 and 2 units of 20. That'd look cool. There'd be a lot of figures on the table, a lot of zombies just shambling forward every turn. That'd be awesome. But yeah, zombies themselves are not going to win your battles. Their psychology might have an effect. They still can be. They're stupid unless they're controlled as well. They are immune to psychology, and they are subject to instability. But yeah, their psychological effects are the things that's going to affect your opponent more. Like all the undead, those psychological effects can be brutal. It's your average zombie swinging a two-handed axe is not going to win your battles. It's the opponent fearing them that's gonna put them on an even keel. So, and then we got a plague cart next. So with the driver and the one wagon, 100 points. You can only have one. I've got one in my 3,000 point army, basically because I really like the miniature. I love it, to be quite honest. One of their best. Now, what the plague card does is that any undead unit with models within 12 inches of the undead cart, you can add +1 to the D6 score in the instability test. Now that's handy as. If you have your general who's, let's say, +2, so then you've got a plague card as well, +3. Boom, straight away. So the two worst results on your instability chart are going to be harder to get. Now, it also causes fear. It's got a movement allowance of 5 inches and may move over all terrain and through all obstacles except buildings with no penalty. I'm pretty sure that's the way that Watsy's work as well, like Undead Horsemen. Absolutely pretty positive there that they can move through solid walls and into outer buildings. Costs half the cart's movement for that turn. It's like an ordinary cart or wagon, and yeah. Other than that, you've got oxen that's moving it along. Now, it says there in under the war machines part that it has a movement allowance of 5 inches, and yet the ox is rated at 8 inches in the army book. So that's something I haven't noticed before, but yeah, I think I'll be playing that at 5 inches because that's what the war machine section says. So yeah, I don't think that'd be flying around the tabletop at 8 inches a turn. Basically the weight of the cart and all those special abilities too. So yeah. But yeah, that's the play cart. The driver, he's your basic skeletonish. The ox doesn't get an attack, so he's at 0 attacks. This is something that you want to try and guard preciously because, yeah, definitely, it's the bonuses that you're getting from it are quite good. But the undead driver, he's got 1 attack, paltry 2 weapon skill, just like normal skeletons, but he is attacking with a scythe, so that's not too bad. Moving on, ghouls next. Yeah, ghouls are your cowardly. They can be a pain for people. They are not immune to psychology. They do cause fear. They are subject to instability. No, they're not. No. Forget that. They're not subject to instability, and they always rout if they're pushed back. So, yep, the minute you lose a combat with these guys, they're going to be running. And you can take them in units of between 20 and 40. Now, I haven't got a unit of ghouls for my 3,000 points yet, but I want to try and fit it in because I like the miniatures. The miniatures are quite nice, and I do like that fear effect sort of thing. I can picture it in the eye because they're if you push back your opponent, you actually have to roll to see if any of them stay behind from the pushback because they're feeding on the wounded. So I'm pretty. Oh, they're also rocking out +1 strength bonus because their attacks are poisoned. Because yeah, they're horrible. Now, yeah. So if a unit of ghouls in hand-to-hand combat pushes back its opponent, D3 individuals will stay and feed on the corpses. These models are not moved as the unit follows up its opponents. Instead, they stay behind to rip into the dead and the dying, greedily devouring their victims' warm flesh at the beginning of the only player's movement phase. D6 is rolled to see if the ghouls stop eating. A roll of a 6 indicates that the ghouls are ready to return to the battle and can be moved normally. On any other result, the ghouls continue to feast unless forced to move. A ghoul may carry a single close combat weapon as part of his basic points, but may use no other weapons. So they can have like a sword or a bow or something like that. But yeah, in this on their weapons profile, they're just rocking bites and bite attacks and claw or club at +1 strength, so that's not too bad. They'll be hitting at 4 strength instead of 3. Initiative a bit better. 4 movements quite. That's average. Only 8 points a model, so a unit at 20, we're going to be looking at 160 points. I don't know if I'd take a standard bearer or a musician for these guys, basically because I don't think it fits in with how I picture them. So, yeah. But I did warn you from the start that I am an imagination-based gamer, I suppose you could call it. That's one way of putting it, I reckon. But yeah, so yeah, ghouls. Eventually going to get a unit for them, but I don't have one at the moment. I think I've got like 3 figures of the old metal ones, but yeah, definitely be hunting those guys down. And last but not least, on our page 122 revamp, we have Undead War Machines, which is our skeletons, our Screaming Skull catapult. So maximum range 48 inches, 1 inch template, strength of 5. You could take Screaming Skull ammunition for an extra 25 points. And what that did was, I think it was a wound. If you caused a wound, then the opposition had to take a fear test. I'm just going to double check that. It's subject to instability. As all the undead for an extra 25 points. The thrower may be supplied with enough skulls to last for the battle. These skulls are hurled instead of rocks, making a fearful shrieking sound as they fly through the air, and any unit hit by a skull must test for panic. The panic test is in addition to any damage inflicted by the skull. The skull is treated as normal rock for the purposes of calculating damage. Yeah, just a cool background story for those. Crew of 3, and the miniature looks really good too. Unfortunately, for one of mine, I did buy it from the blister, and the cross piece at the top was missing. So I tried to green stuff that with another one that I bought by like casting another piece, and that just went horribly wrong. But enough to sort of fix it, I suppose. But yeah, 60 points, 104 between 1 and 4 per unit. Battery destruction, I think they're called when they're grouped up like that. But yeah, not a bad war machine. Might do a video with the different war machines and that and how they differ from other editions. With like guessing for like 4th and 5th. Pretty sure 6th, 7th as well. 8th, I think, was the one where you didn't actually have to guess. You sort of just like a lot of, like with a cannonball, for example. You'd lob it a little bit away from your opponent and hope that the extra artillery dice of flight, and then would put it somewhere where it's going to bounce well. But yeah, in the olden days in 4th and 5th we had to guess. But yeah, I might do that actually. That might be a different rules and stuff between 3rd and what you might be normally used to, like Warhammer wise. So yeah, that could be a good one. So yeah, that's the Undead War Machine, and for an extra 25 points, it becomes a Screaming Skull Catapult. So we'll leave it there, and then head on to the very last page of the army list. So now, Oldhammerers, we come to the last part of the army list for the Undead in our review, and we've got allies, and Undead armies will be looking for Chaos allies or Dark Elves. As per the army list at the start, you will be able to take allies at a third of the army's total point value. Monstrous hosts and eternal hosts, and that is a quarter. So there's no actual, won't be taking mercenaries for these guys. I don't think they will pay up, to be quite honest. So yeah, but the monstrous host you can take is giant bats, rats, giant spiders, swarms. Eternal hosts is ghosts, spectres, spectral mounts, wights and wraiths, and the points values are there. I don't really use hosts, to be quite honest. Never really taken them. I prefer to buy more skellies, more skeletons, more skeletal horsemen, catapult, Screaming Skull Catapult as well, instead of the hosts and that. But allies could be okay. You could get around that really bad ballistic skill with Dark Elf allies, but we'll run through ally contingents and that at a later date, I think, and just go through those and what armies can have those as allies or mercenaries as we work our way through the Warhammer Armies rulebook. But yeah, so that's the Undead Army. One of my faves, just because, yeah, it conjures a lot of imagery in my head when I was a kid. So one of the best armies as well, I think. But yeah, especially with either Chaos Allies or Dark Elves, you can really pack a punch with some Chaos Allies and fix up your ballistic skill woes with Dark Elves. But yeah, so that's, and yeah, nice picture there of Undead and Skaven. They've got some history, as everybody knows. I'm sure everybody knows, like from Nagash and the council. But on that note, that's the end of this roundup of the Warhammer Fantasy Battle 3rd Edition Undead Army list from the Warhammer Armies book. I'd just like to thank everyone for watching, and just let me know what you think of this format, if it's any good, or if the way that I did the Empire video was better. Yeah, it's working out a lot of tech and stuff that's proven to be a little bit of a hurdle, but yeah, we'll get there eventually. Yeah, like I've said, I've always wanted to do really good content for you guys and make this your go-to for Oldhammer. But I've got an unboxing video coming hopefully this week if my Mighty Fortress comes in the mail, and I'll do a what I've been watching as well on that one, so that way we can, yeah, we'll see what I've been watching and what I've been keeping up with in the world of Oldhammer on YouTube. But for everything else, just, yeah, thank you to my subscribers again. You all rock. Thank you so much. Yeah, very, very chuffed that at least 101 of you like my content. So let's see if we can get another 100, see if we can get to 200. So that'll be an achievement, I think. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. And other than that, guys, just take care of each other. The floods in Australia and that. I hope everyone's okay. Yeah, just take care of each other out there and stay cool. Stay Oldhammer.